Welcome to Inside the Issues. My name is Amit Singh. We talk a lot about four-year terms on this show in many contexts. Think about this one. Back in 2022, the Los Angeles Unified School District hired Superintendent Alberto Carvalho to help LA students recover from learning loss suffered during the pandemic, and that was considerable learning loss. The superintendent and school board laid out a four-year strategic plan. Now in 2026, the final year of that plan, the district has shared its report card showing progress in proficiency and preparation for college. Let's talk about English language arts, ELA first, reading and the like. For the 24-25 school year, more than 43% of LAUSD third graders tested as proficient or better in English language arts, ELA. That's up about 5 points from the 21-22 school year. In math, almost 37% of LAUSD students met or exceeded proficiency for their grade level, a gain of more than 7 points. Third grade is a pivotal year for reading, which is why it's a focus there. And then there's college prep. The number of students who are eligible to apply to UC or CSU went up nearly 8 points in that time period. That is certain relative progress. It's also still below the goal that LAUSD set out for itself at state levels, but that progress was good enough for Governor Gavin Newsom to make this moment at his State of the State address the other day.
I just want to say this to the teachers, the classified employees, and to the parents of LA Unified School kids. You should be very proud of your progress you're making, particularly proud of your leader who's here, the Superintendent of Public Education, Alberto Carvalho, who's here with us today, who's just been doing a remarkable job.
Yeah, unlike the governor, I don't have to point up to the rafters to shout out Superintendent Carvalho. He's sitting here right now for a conversation. Thanks so much for coming back in. Happy New Year to you.
Always great to be here. Happy New Year to you and this entire team.
And that was a great moment there, one that I'm sure felt good, as two things can be true, because there's absolute progress relative to the district itself, but also some goals that you've set out where you still want to see the school district doing better.
Absolutely. Look, number one, what the governor said is true about the greatness of our teachers and support staff delivering on very compelling results. Secondly, as LA goes, so goes the state of California. There is no improving California without LA actually harnessing that level of improvement. We were very bold when the board decided on its 4 goals going back a bit over 4 years ago. And actually, those goals precede me. Mm-hmm. Those goals were seen as unimaginably difficult to reach. But as they say, shoot for the stars. If you miss it, you still land on the moon, and very few people have gotten there. So we knew where we were. The pandemic inflicted a huge amount of learning loss. My promise to the community was, within a couple of years, we would meet and perhaps surpass pre-pandemic levels. Check. In reading and mathematics, across all grade levels, all subject areas tested, not only did we improve in a very compelling way, we met and exceeded pre-pandemic levels. The state of California, and the governor did detail this, the state of California has yet to meet or exceed pre-pandemic levels. And we did this in a district where the levels of poverty, English language limitation, percentage of students with disabilities is actually higher than the state average. The second point is we are very, very happy with the progress we've made. Our rate of improvement has been 2 to 5 times the rate of improvement of the state in reading and mathematics. But we are absolutely not satisfied with the fact that in terms of overall proficiency in reading and math, we're not there yet. So it's work in progress.
Well, there's a lot to take in there. And I think Governor Gavin Newsom inviting you up, giving you the shout out, makes clear to a lot of the parents who are likely watching that there is real progress to talk about. When you lay out these goals, as you will now for the next 4-year strategic plan, because you have been unanimously by the board vote hired for another 4 years, it's important the LAUSD district and board is feeling good about your leadership. But when you set these goals, there's a conversation about whether the strategic plan is necessary. Is it beneficial? These goals do create a narrative around shortcomings. And so it gets confusing communicating some of these goals and the progress to parents. So how do you think about that? You see the utility in a strategic plan. What are the goals and how are you going to get there?
Our strategic plan is actually pretty solid. Number one, it does not envision dozens of goals and metrics. It hones in directly on 4 essential goals: reading, mathematics, graduation and post-secondary success. And then, and we learned this through the pandemic, social and emotional well-being of students. That's it. Those are the 4 things that orient our work.
And what is a metric, by the way, for the emotional and social growth and rate of well-being? Because it's a difficult thing to
It is a
decide.
very difficult, and the district, we've actually struggled with finding the right measures and metrics.
Right.
We ended up adopting a series of questions and questionnaires to students, in addition to their own perceptions of self, their own well-being in a school environment, which they reveal via a questionnaire that's administered every single year.
Yeah.
The other ones are easier, reading and math. It's based on statewide assessments. But the fact that our strategic plan is so focused on those priorities, the metrics that inform us as to whether or not we're moving in the right direction are easy to understand. Basically, two metrics. What's the overall percentage of students who are meeting that proficiency level? Second metric, which is actually more important because it tells you about growth over time, is distance from standard. Kids 4 years ago, they were performing at this level. The distance from the standard that they're expected to perform at is what we measure over time. That is where we have soared, is our movement towards the standard was double-digit this past year in reading and mathematics.
And a lot of that, again, though, is not at the state levels. And so how much should people at home be thinking about that? Because we see the progress, but we also see state levels, your goals were not there. Goals are important to set high, as you say, but when we think about this district in terms of the state, too, you want to see that kind of progress, right?
Of course. I mean, look, the goals are important. The improvement over time is important because it tells parents whether or not what we're doing is working.
Going in the right direction.
Right. So, but it's not a done deal yet.
Right.
And there are reasons for that. Every year there are kids who are born and enrolled in our school system. They bring challenges and gaps from their communities and onto the school site.
Right.
In addition to that, the issue of immigration.
Yeah.
Kids who come into our school system with different levels of proficiency. Poverty, homelessness, foster care, those are all gaps faced by our kids that influence kids' readiness to learn.
And all of these are issues that impact, to some degree, enrollment as well. Much has been made about enrollment, especially at LAUSD, which has seen a decline in enrollment that has outpaced the state and the nation, especially since 2004, something down 43%. You're below 400,000 students this year. It was above 400,000 last year, and we're seeing 15% from 03 to 23. In other words, it's going down. This has budgetary implications as well, but let's just begin by talking about why it's happening.
The reasons.
And what's the pitch to the parents at home to stay in LAUSD or come back?
So let me begin with a cause or series of causes. Number one, unaffordability of our community.
Yeah.
So there are cost of living issues, the unaffordability of housing. In addition to that, we've seen a migration of former residents in LA to eastern parts of the state or out of the state altogether to avoid high levels of tax, compounded by cost of living issues in our community. Add to that the more recent pressure, in my opinion, unethical pressure of immigration, indiscriminate immigration rates. We saw the rate of declining enrollment actually increase significantly from last year to this year. We've knocked on a lot of doors. We know a lot of families self-deported or left the community altogether. Very, very disturbing. My pitch to the community is look at our rate of improvement over the past few years. Schools are the safest places in our community. Very often it is where your kid gets not only high quality education, but also nutrition, health care, before and after school support. It is the one-stop shop for all things that kids need. Trust us. Check our recent record and believe me when I tell you, we have everything for everyone in our community.
Well, I'm the parent of a child who is in LAUSD. We believe in the power of public education, and so much of it is about the right teachers, recruiting the right teachers, having the right student-to-teacher ratio. A lot of this requires money and staffing, and yet we also know there's a structural deficit being run by LAUSD, and you can speak to this a bit in terms of the shortfall potentially in the general fund, what it means for potential staffing, because we haven't seen reductions in staff or closures of campuses commensurate with this decline in enrollment. State funds require enrollment to some degree. So where are we and what are we seeing when it comes to potential reductions of staff?
Number one, we want to celebrate the fact that the governor committed, based on his budget request, education funding at an unprecedented level, historic levels of education investment. We will see what the Assembly and the Senate will do with that. We need to consider the needs within our district. Even though enrollment is down, need is actually higher. Higher levels of poverty, higher levels of homelessness. Our teachers need to make a fair wage that is competitive and allows them to live in the communities where they teach. Our support staff, classified personnel, the same. They need to have their wages increase considering the economic pressures within our community. And what I can tell you is that over the past few years, the investments from the state have not kept pace with the economic realities in our community. We are in negotiations right now. I started 2026 with a level of optimism that we will land in a fair place for all without compromising the fiscal viability of our district. But for us to achieve a level of education funding that provides all three elements, number one, all the supports kids need and deserve. Secondly, fair wages and protections for our employees. And thirdly, a guarantee of fiscal viability for the district. We need the state to reform some of its elements. Number one, fall off of its measure of funding based on attendance, more towards enrollment. How many kids do you have? Let's fund that. Secondly, let's recognize that the cost of living adjustment, basically that 2.4, 2.5% increase per year, neglects to acknowledge how much more expensive it is to live, work in LA than other parts of the state.
Well, it's interesting when you talk about this shift in our final moment here from attendance to enrollment, because that would potentially not be great for LAUSD, right? Enrollment's coming down. You were been talking about attendance also like an average daily attendance metric.
Correct.
Just explain what that means as compared to enrollment, because when we see enrollment comes down, we know that means bad things for LAUSD budget-wise.
To a certain extent, if enrollment continues to go down, eventually lose funding, but most immediately, the fluctuation of average daily attendance actually punishes the school district. Enrollment is the total potential funding, drives the total potential funding that we would receive. Right. But then there are deductions based on average daily attendance fluctuations. That is not fair for the kids of Los Angeles, and we need to reform that.
And we've seen, as you've mentioned, Governor Newsom saying a record level of per pupil funding in the budget. What did you like and what did you not about what you heard there?
So, reaching $27,000 per year per student in the state of California, additional investments into community schools, additional investments into students with disabilities, those are all very laudable investments and necessary investments. It remains to be seen how diluted through the political process those commitments from the government will be.
Yeah.
We need to get the money in Los Angeles with the highest level of flexibility possible to be able to negotiate with our unions, pay them adequately, continue to support our kids in ways that they deserve.
Well, we know that coming up, there's going to be a conversation about potential reductions of staff. I know that there's conversations with labor unions now about that. You have some questions about the dilutions of the dollars that are coming your way. Governor Gavin Newsom had no questions about your leadership for LAUSD, and we thank you for coming on, for talking about the progress made and the big issues ahead. It's great to see you.
Thank you very much, Emily.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth political coverage. And click the subscribe button here. You can also download our app and watch us on TV to learn more about the candidates, where they stand on the issues, and more. We'll see you then.